Hey folks, welcome back to the Unbeatable Mind podcast. So stoked you're joining me today. As you know, I don't take it lightly. I know you have a lot of things distracting you and vying for your attention, but you will not be disappointed with our show today. This show is also being taped, so you can find it at our YouTube channel or at our website. But if you're listening on iTunes, sitting next to me is the one and only David Goggins. And I'll tell you a little bit more about David if you don't know him, which would be surprising to me. In a moment. Before we kick it off, though, if you haven't heard, we're running a big charity event this year. It's not actually an event. It's an all-year thing. We're calling it Burpees for Vets. Our objective is to do 22 million burpees and to raise a minimum of $250,000 for veterans who are suffering from post-traumatic stress. Many people don't know this, but 22 vets a day are committing suicide. It is unsat. We're going to do our part, and if you'd like to join us, go to burpeesforvets.com, hashtag burpeesforvets, whatever, and there's a few ways to join us. I won't go into the details here, but we hope you do. Let's help raise awareness and funds and also create a direct support program to help these guys and ladies. All right, David Goggins, welcome, buddy. So David,
thank you.
Navy SEAL, Army Ranger, Tactical Air Force, CCT, right? Is that what you think?
I was TACP.
TACP. Tactical Air Control.
Went to Delta Selection twice. Delta Force Selection twice.
Delta Selection.
They didn't want me. Didn't quit. They didn't want me.
Oh, cool. I want to talk about Delta Selection. That sounds pretty. I know some folks have been through that. Ultra runner. Just generally a badass, like crazy mother effer.
Yeah. You can put that. I don't know about badass. Maybe crazy mother effer.
Crazy mother effer.
Yeah.
All right, we got a lot to talk about because when it comes to the Unbeatable Mind community, we love to talk about resiliency, mental toughness, physical preparedness, the things that go toward that, like nutrition, sleep, recovery. All that's interesting. But also, like, what drives people?
Right.
What drives you to do what you do? So before we get right into that juicy stuff, why don't you tell us a little bit about, like, who is David? Where are you from? What was life like when you were a little munchkin? And what were some of the early influences that kind of shaped who you became?
I had so many different things that shaped me up.
Yeah.
I mean, I had an abusive father growing up. He believed in himself. Mm-hmm. He believed in my way or the highway. He would wake up in the morning time and start drinking.
Nice.
So he's an alcoholic. He had a bar and a skating rink. He used to run prostitutes from Canada to Buffalo, New York.
Good
so
Lord.
He had a big line of credit. All these banks, all these high wig bankers, in these different banks would love my dad because my dad figured out, hey, he was real smart in every way possible. So he just said, these men like women. I bring prostitutes over. These men give me a line of credit at the banks. So that's what he did. He set fire to a lot of his buildings, To
collect insurance?
To collect insurance.
This guy's a real gem.
Yeah,
wow.
He is. Good guy. So he was just a guy that didn't care much about anything but himself. So he was an abusive guy, beat the shit out of me, my mom, my brother growing up. And around 8 years old, my mom got tired of all this. And just to back up a little bit, had a big time learning disability. I didn't go to school much because my dad didn't really, I don't know if he didn't so much believe in school, he believed more in the business. So his family business was a skating rink. So the skating rink would open up. From the time I was able to walk, I was working that skating rink. And then at nighttime, the bar would open up. So we'd be downstairs cleaning up the skating rink, me, my mom, my brother. My dad would be upstairs at the bar. And the bar would shut down about 3 o'clock. Me and my brother at about 10, 11 o'clock would be in the office sleeping. And then we hardly went to school. So there was hardly no school, hardly any interaction with kids. So I had big time social anxiety. I was just a really fucked up kid, had a lot of stuff going on. To make it worse, my mom left when I was about 8 years old. And we moved to a small town called Brazil, Indiana. Brazil, Indiana has some great people in it. So don't get me wrong.
This is Indiana?
Yeah, Indiana. Brazil, Indiana.
Brazil, Indiana.
Brazil, Indiana.
What an interesting name.
And a lot of great people there, great teachers there, but there were also a lot of racist people there. In 1995, the KKK was not allowed to march in our parade, the 4th of July parade, but they were allowed to march 100 or 200 feet behind. So this is 1995. So a lot of people in that town get mad at me because I'm on a podcast every now and then. I mention how I came up, and they get upset. And it's funny to me because they didn't see what I lived.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing about it to me is put a white person in a town of 10,000 people that all black.
Yeah, see what happens.
And let me see how the fuck they feel about that shit. So if you believe that my life there was great, so I'll give you a couple incidents that happened there. One time I was at Pizza Hut and sitting eating with a bunch of kids. You know, not everybody hated me. A lot of kids liked me. And this young girl's dad came in, Pizza Hut. Saw her there sitting with me at the table. Told her to get up and said, I won't ever see you sitting with this nigger again. For all these people at Pizza Hut. Another quick incident that happened there was a Spanish notebook of mine. We kept our Spanish notebooks in class. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget opening my Spanish notebook, and on it, it said, nigger, we're going to kill you. My Spanish notebook. So these are some of the incidents that happened there. And a lot of people in this small town didn't know that I was hurting because I created two people. Mm-hmm. One was David Goggins, was the real me, this soft kid who was very insecure and learning disability, stuttered from 3rd grade to about 7th grade, from just having this, social anxiety, just being nervous and scared. And not only that, my mom was going to get remarried at like when I was 14 years old, and he got murdered.
Jesus.
So it's just whenever I would try to overcome something, and my mom worked 3 jobs, went to school full time, just to paint a picture of just a very bleak life for myself, but it also created I started looking for bad. So instead of trying to find good and stuff, like let's say now me and you are talking, I would look at you and say, okay, what the fuck is this guy, I'll be waiting, everything that came out of your mouth, I'd be like, what, I'll be picking you apart, man, thinking, are you judging me, are you criticizing me, so it was a downward spiral growing up for me. And that learning disability really hurt me also, because I basically started copying on everybody's schoolwork. So from 4th grade until my junior year in high school, I cheated. And half my life, it's hard to talk about because it's real.
Yeah. Shit happened.
I was a survivor. I found ways to get through situations. So that's kind of how my childhood was.
My sense is, there's quite a few people like that.
Right.
A lot of people came from abusive families. A lot of people and minorities were treated like shit in this country.
Right.
And so you're not alone. And the difference is you're able to talk about it.
Big time.
Which is huge.
Right.
So what was the turning point? Like what shifted the flip the switch for you?
There were a lot of turning points, and you'll hear about it as we talk. But one big turning point was when I turned that Spanish notebook in. So I was in Spanish class, obviously, opened my notebook up and said, nigger, we're going to kill you. Had a drawing of me and actually talked to the principal, because I'm in the process of writing my book right now. His name is Kurt Freeman. He goes, yeah, I talked to him 2 days ago.
No kidding.
He said, I remember like it was yesterday. So I left my class, just didn't tell a teacher, went right to his office and showed him it. And he said, and I wasn't a good speller at all, obviously. I copied. And they spelled nigger Niger. I didn't know how to spell a nigger. You know what I'm saying? They spelled nigger Niger. So he looked at me and said, they're ignorant. And that was the best advice he can give me. Yeah. My mom was working 3 jobs. I was a latchkey kid. I was on my own. I did my own thing, man. I missed almost all of my junior year of high school. Never went to school. Just did my own thing. And that was a turning point when I really realized I was on my own. It just kind of hit me. Like the best advice you can give me is just spell nigger Niger. And pretty much, I think he called my mom up and I went back to class. And I realized that life isn't fucking fair. It's not fair. And you better figure out some tools and some ways to stop feeling sorry for yourself, because no one is coming to rescue you. No one feels sorry for you.
Right.
And at the end of the day, no one really cared about me. That's how it felt. That was the reality of it. So.
Except for your mom.
Yes, my mom big time cared, but she was
busy.
She was busy. When you have your soul taken from you, my dad did a good job of that, and then her soon to be, they were gonna get married the next month. He got murdered the day after Christmas.
Jeez. So
we had Christmas. The day after Christmas, he got murdered. So when your mom's getting healed from this guy, and that guy gets taken from her, the downward spiral is real. I remember, and after that happened, I'll never forget going to the funeral. And one thing that really messed me up was I went back to school after the Christmas break, And my first day back at school, to this day, it haunted me because being a part of a murder is crazy. And plus having the mindset I had going into the murder. I wasn't a strong kid anyway. I went back to school, and I was in junior high. So the junior high was from, I think, like from 1st grade to 8th grade. They had us in there. And I'll never forget, on our bus route, we were supposed to pick up this young kid. And he had some cookies for the bus driver, but forgot them. So his mom ended up taking him to school. So our bus was parked there in the parking lot, and I sat in the back of the bus. And I'll never forget seeing him pull up, and I looked out the window, and I see him pull up with his mom, and the kid's all excited to get the cookies to bring back to the bus driver. He's freaking out, like, oh my God, he's excited, because the bus driver's parked there, and he got the cookies again. Goes back, the mom hands him the cookies, and then I just looked forward, I looked forward in the bus, and I was sitting there. The bus moved forward, and I heard the mom screaming and literally pulling her hair out of her head. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? I look around, and on the window, I didn't know it was, but it was blood on my back window. And I didn't know what was going on. And the mom was pulling, so I put the window down, and I looked, and I saw the kid. And the bus had run over his head.
Oh, my God.
So I talk about it because I was 14 years old, and having Wilmoth get murdered, and then going into this, I ended up sleeping on the floor I found comfort in the floor. And I tell you this to let you know where I had to come a long way to get in front of you to talk to you about my life.
Yes, right.
So I slept on the floor for about 4 or 5 months just for fear. For some reason, I walked in my mom's room and she slept in her chair. So I don't know what the comfort was about that, but it was just a downward spiral. And I came back to school, after because we actually moved to Indianapolis, Indiana. And then I came back to Brazil, Indiana. And I forget one time coming out of school, and they had written "nigger, we're going to kill you" on my car. I had a brown citation. So it was just it was like I said, there was a lot of great teachers, great people there, and I keep on saying that because people get so sensitive, and I see a lot of sensitivity in that town, not understanding what the fuck it takes to go through that being of different. And I say of different because I was very different.
How many other minorities were in the town?
Well, I think in the school, I can name them all right now. It's 5 or 6 black people out of 2,000.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And then in the town itself, when I was there, I think it's less than that now. I think it's 8,000 to 9,000 people now. When I was there, it was around 10,000 people, and no more than 10 black families. And so, it's just a small town in Indiana. And some of the best people I met were there, and also some of the worst people I met were there. So yeah, that's kind of how I came up. And decided to go in the military.
So you graduated from high school though?
Barely graduated from high school. Graduated with a 1.7 GPA.
Nice.
Missed a whole bunch of school. But what got me on track though was actually trying to join the military. My junior year, I decided I need to join the military. I need to do something to change my life. So I said I'm going to join the Air Force and be Air Force pararescueman. And who they are is guys that, I'm sure you know who they are.
Oh, yeah.
But the people don't know is people that jump out of airplanes and save down pilots or rescue people.
And how did you learn about them?
I met this guy named Scott Guerin. So I was in this group called Civil Air Patrol.
Yeah, I was part of that myself. Actually.
Civil Air Patrol.
It's pretty cool. We marched around.
Oh yeah.
Had uniforms.
Great program.
Learned how to fly.
But they had a program where I learned how to fly and also learned about pararescue. And pararescue was a cool job. And they had a special camp. So at 15 years old, you could apply and go to this junior pararescue camp.
Sweet.
And once again, the only black kid there, I walk in and I hear this guy talking, raspy voice. Name was Scott Guerin. This Air Force pararescueman had jumped out of a plane and a combat controller had gone through his parachute, collapsed it. He fell to his death pretty much, parachute malfunction, everything happened wrong. And they, a couple of guys traked him, got him back alive, and I heard his story of survival. It's like, man, I want to go be pararescueman. So that's what got my mind. But the thing about it was, got to take an ASVAB test. I copied all through school. So I got to the ASVAB test. I thought I'd copy again. Right. So the guy beside me had an A test.
The ASVAB is the
watered down SAT.
Yeah, it's like the SAT for military.
Yeah, exactly. Watered down SAT test. So not going to school, I had to pretty much take this test. And the guy beside me that I was a copy off of had test A, I had test B. Another guy had test C. And I was like, shit, I can't copy.
You're on
I'm on my own. I got 20, which is bad. I think I need to get to 50 to get in pararescue. Took it again, got like an 18, like a month later. Then I had like one more time to take it, but you had 6 months before you could take it for the third time. Mm-hmm. So we lived in a $7 a month place for a while. It was called government subsidized apartments, food stamps. And then we finally moved to a place that cost $230 a month. So money was tight for us growing up. And my mom got a tutor for me, 4 hours, not a day, but for the month.
4 hours for the month.
4 hours a month.
Specific ASVAB tutor or just a tutor?
Just a tutor, period.
Tutor. Okay.
So I pretty much had to memorize all these different things. I worked my ass off, and I passed the test.
Nice.
So I got in the military, and the pararescue story goes kind of quick. I go through it pretty quick, but basically, I realized my true fear of the water. Mm-hmm. And I was only the 36th African American to become a Navy SEAL in the history of the SEAL teams. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Yeah, my roommate was one of them, Jimmy Mann.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if you knew him.
I didn't know him.
Yeah, good guy.
But I didn't know how scared I was of the water. So I got this packet like before the training program started, kind of teaching you how to, get ready for the program, like a warning order. Mm-hmm. And it was push-ups, sit-ups, all that stuff. I got to like the last page that said swimming. Mm-hmm. I said, okay, I've never really swam. I'll give it a try. So I got a how-to book on swimming. Mm-hmm. Went to the pool, and this is when I realized why a lot of blacks are not in special operations.
You sink.
I sink like a motherfucker. Like a motherfucker. So I got in that water, man, and this lifeguard was trying to hold me up. So first thing you do in swimming is float.
Right.
So I laid back on my back, and the guy said, relax. I relaxed. I lawn darted to the bottom of that pool. And I came up to the side of the gunnel, and I was sitting there breathing all heavy. He goes, man, you're fucked. He goes, you're negative buoyant. I go, negative what? He goes, you can't float. Yeah. So I put the same work ethic in as I put into my studies. I learned how to swim. So I got the pararescue. There's about 200 guys in my class, one black guy being me. And I passed the swim test, passed the running, the push-ups, all that stuff. And the next couple of days, we had this thing called water confidence. Mm-hmm. This is when you know how comfortable you are in the water. So people don't know about water confidence. Mm-hmm. Basically what it is they pretty much try to drown your ass underwater. Mm-hmm. They take away the one thing you've had your whole life, which is breathing. Mm-hmm. And they want to see how comfortable you are underwater with different tasks. Mm-hmm. I hated it. Mm-hmm. I realized that it was brutal. It was brutal. So
same as pool comp, essentially?
Same as pool comp, essentially.
Yeah.
But what this was, so pararescue was like a 12-week long, 6-week long, or either 6 or 12, it changes all the time. I think it's 10 weeks long, matter of fact, of basically pre-scuba school. Yeah. That's all it was. And we stayed in the water. That's all OLH is, which is pararescue school when I went through, is just that. That every day. So for 6 weeks, I didn't sleep. I was just terrified of going back to that water, but I didn't want to quit. Because I always quit things in my life. When things got hard, I bounced out. So
where did that idea come from?
What's that?
That you're not going to quit because
I quit everything, and I wanted to make a stand. Yeah. And so once I finally got through the ASVAB test, I started feeling more confident. Right. I can read, I can write. I taught myself something. Right. And I worked so hard on how to swim that I started giving a little more confidence to myself.
You didn't want to go backwards anymore.
I didn't want to go backwards. Yeah. And
that's a great motivator.
And so when everything got hard for me, I always went backwards. I said, not this time. Right. So I wasn't going to quit regardless. So, but what happened was week 6, they pulled us all out, like 25, 30 guys left, and they drew my blood. They found out I had sickle cell. Sickle cell is a blood disease that some African Americans have, and under stressful situations.
It's anemia type situation.
Well, I had sickle cell trait.
Okay.
But you can still die from it. So it's called sudden death. It happens a lot. And so they didn't know. They're like, well, you made it so far. So they pulled me out of training for a week. And they want to do more studies, more tests, see what's going on. They did all that stuff. I stayed out for a week, and I got real comfortable. So when you go from being uncomfortable to comfortable, your mind's like, I'm not going back in that water again. Absolutely. You saw your boys getting drowned and getting trashed in the water, and you're on the sidelines watching saying, So a week went by. The doc called me back up, and I'm thinking I'm going to get medically disqualified from the Air Force. I'm like, this is great. I'll never have to quit. They'll kick me out. I'll never have to quit. So the doctor looks at me. Doctor says, you know, we're going to push you back in training. I said, oh, shit. But I thought to myself, a week's gone by, a couple weeks left, and I'm out of here, man. I made it through OLH. I can go, try to be a pararescueman. No. I went back to the CO, Sergeant Larkin, or not Sergeant Lundberg. Sergeant Lundberg looked at me and said, I'm glad you're back in training, man, but you got to start from day one.
No shit.
And I was like, So my mind raced real fast, and I went right back to my old self. I had to find a way out of this. I cannot start back from day one, but I don't want to quit. So I used that medical thing as an excuse for me. I said, hey, you know what, Sergeant? I'm scared about the sickle cell thing, and no, I wasn't scared about that. I was scared of the water. And I didn't want to quit. So I found a way out without quitting, and the way out was him saying, well, you know what, I understand. So he gave me a medical. So I keep my head up a little bit and not quit, but my pride was shot because I knew the truth. I knew that I really quit. So I did a job called TAC-P, great hardcore job. You work with infantry units. Some SEALs have TAC-P, some Green Berets have TAC-P. You work with Rangers, everybody.
So you call in the air support.
Yep, I call in the air support. So F-16s, F-15s, great job. You're the only Air Force guy on the ground with hardcore dudes, but there's no water. There was no water confidence involved, all land stuff.
But that's got to be eating you up.
Eat me up.
Is that what made you think of the SEALs?
Eat me up.
Yeah.
So I'm 175 pounds now, and in 3 years, I went from 175 to 297.
Oh, shit.
So I gained 106 pounds,
Was
whatever
that
it was.
muscle or fat or both?
It was a lot of both.
Yeah.
I ate my ass off. I found comfort in eating because you always have this thing hanging over your fucking head when you're not doing right by yourself. And I basically quit pararescue training. I did quit pararescue training. And it bothered me. So it haunted me.
Yeah.
So I gained this weight. I tried to become a power lifter. I tried to find things I was good at. So I ran away from things that challenged me. So I got out of the Air Force weighing 297 pounds and started working for Ecolab, spraying for cockroaches from 11 o'clock at night to 7 o'clock in the morning. And that became my life for a few months.
How many years were you in the Air Force?
4.5 years.
So 4.5. Okay.
Yep. I was in the Air Force 4.5 years.
That was your tour. You did your whole tour.
Yeah, I did my tour, and I actually just got out from there. And at 297 pounds with limited education, started spraying for cockroaches.
Wow, that sounds great.
It was great. It was great. So from 11 o'clock at night.
You can learn a lot from cockroaches.
Oh, yeah.
By the way,
Really, you can. Pretty surprising.
What's the biggest lesson a cockroach taught you?
It taught me to get the fuck out of this job. It taught me, man, you know what, dude? You better sack it the fuck up and get out of this job. Because right now, the way your life is going, you'll be 400 pounds by 5 years from now. But you might be the head cockroach guy.
Right.
You might be the head cockroach. But you know what? And I'm not making fun of guys who do that job at all. It's just, it was the reality of my life.
Right. Yeah.
And at 297, I came home from work one day. I would spray down Steak and Shake as my last spray down. I knew the manager real well, and he would make this special shake for me, man, with a chocolate, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of straw. You know, when you're depressed, you like to eat and drink shakes and whatever. At a 45-minute commute home in my car, and I stopped by 7-Eleven, get a box of mini chocolate donuts, and I would eat those and drink the shake and go home. And I would get home, and I would pop the TV on, walk back to the shower, listen to the TV while I was taking a shower, and that was my day. This day, what came on was a Discovery Channel show. I don't know if it was Discovery Channel or History Channel. What channel was on?
Making of Class 223 or something like that?
223 or 224, something like that.
That was huge.
And 224, and I said, it's the hardest train in the world or something. So, you know, I try to be a pararescue, so I want to see what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah. So I walked out, sat on the couch, start watching this, man. I saw the waves rushing over them, the snot bubbles, the jackhammering, the sugar cookies, the surf torture, the torture of what they were going through. And I felt so small. I felt like I was what everybody said I was, nobody. What I said I was, nobody. And I felt horrible. And I watched it. At the very end of it, I'll never forget the graduation ceremony. This was stuck to me. It stuck with me even to this day. The CEO, whoever gave the graduation speech, said,
Rick Smothers.
Was it Rick Smothers?
Yeah.
We live in a society where mediocrity is often rewarded.
Yes.
And he went on to talk about something. These men like this or something that detest mediocrity. Yeah. And I heard that, and I saw him stand up there with so much pride. And I saw the 18, 16 men that sat in their dress whites who were graduating. And I saw the 150 guys that were ringing the bell, quitting and shit. And I said, I wonder how it feels to be that motherfucker sitting there in that white uniform, knowing that all these other guys came that were just as good as me and much better than me. And I'm sitting here at the very end of it all. Yeah. I never had a feeling of completion, a feeling of success. And I said, I gotta face this water. I gotta face this fear. And I was like, man, I literally at 297, I just started calling up different recruiters, active duty recruiters, and they got into the conversation about how much I weighed and this and that, and to cut to the chase, they all pretty much laughed me off the phone. Like, man, you're 6'1" and 297. You can only be 191. Like height and weight limits and everything else. And I was way exceeding those with prior service and everything else. I was one of those not too good recruits to pick up.
Yeah.
So I went to the reserve recruiter. Steven Saljo was my recruiter. I walked in weighing 297. He looked at me strangely, and I said, I want to be a SEAL. And lucky enough, the guy looked at me and said, let's see what we can do. He weighed me. I weighed 106 pounds overweight. And this is during the whole 1999 transition into 2000. So the whole computer glitches and everything else, people were worried. So they wanted to get me into this class because this reserve program that I was going to be a part of was going to end. So basically, as a reservist...
Did you go through 2 buds from the reserve program?
Yes.
I remember that. Yeah.
They had a program.
It only lasted for a couple of years.
And I was in it. That's why I lose weight so fast.
Interesting.
So as a reservist, the guy said, man, there's a program that's about to end that you can go, and if you make it through buds, you'll then go active duty.
Right.
And you'll be a SEAL. If not, you come the fuck home.
Right.
And I was like, ugh. So anyway, he goes, make you lose 106 pounds in less than 3 months.
Right.
I said, I can't lose that weight. Went back to work. A bad day happened. I found a lot of cockroaches, a lot of rodents. On my way home driving, I said, this is my life. My life is this. This is my life. I'm not that smart. I'm depressed. I have a horrible life. I have these 2 guys. One guy that... So I became this 297-pound person because it became my body armor.
Yeah.
Because the inside was a fragile,
Hurting,
weak, insecure kid. So I put this big man around it. So when people looked at me, I intimidated them. I scared them. But if they knew the real me, just a little punk.
Yeah.
I was a little punk kid in a 24-year-old guy's body. So I knew that. No one else did. So I tried to change my life, and it started there. I went to recruiter's office. I went there. Bad day at work. The bad day at work made me realize I got to make a stand.
How did you lose the weight in 3 months? You just run your ass off? Or?
I couldn't run. The first thing about it was, so I said to myself, I'm going to run 4 miles. My first run out the gate, I'm going to run 4 miles. I ran a mile. I ran a quarter of a mile, walked home, sat on the couch depressed. I said, man, there's no way I can do this. But what I realized, though, is I wasn't going to give up because I already given up a million times. And I thought about how would I feel at 50 years old
If you gave up now.
if I gave up now. Not to have, so I kept all this stuff in my mind. And basically, I started becoming obsessed. I slowly, it didn't happen that night on the couch.
Right.
Over a period of time, I started becoming obsessed with studying, with weight, with being somebody, with making people who thought I was going to be nothing kind of like feel like shit. I became obsessed with, you have to make this right.
Yeah.
And the only person that's going to do is yourself. So I became obsessed with just being obsessed. And that's what it was, man.
For anyone to get through SEAL training, you have to be a little obsessed.
Yes.
And a little bit, crazy focused.
Yes.
But to come from where you came through, I mean,
Yes.
you got to be doubly obsessed.
And that's what happened.
Yeah.
And then when I started, so through it all, if I sat down like this.
So you were essentially saying, I've got to become the man who's even capable of getting into this
I had to get to the
program.
start line.
Yeah, to get to the start line.
And so, but that's what happened.
Because most of the guys are pretty studly.
They're good
right?
to go.
Top athletes.
I went to the
here and there,
academy.
they're good
My
to go.
dad was great. My
Right.
dad was a SEAL.
Yeah.
Shit, my family couldn't even swim.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, we had no athletes in my damn family, and I was a kid who kind of got the bad genes. I had all these little sickly issues, all these allergic to shit. I was a little sickly kid. And it's funny how when people hear my story now, they want to put a title on me. Like, I'm superhuman.
Yeah, like you had some special skill or capability.
And I love it because basically it makes you feel better by putting a title on me.
Right.
You can do it too. And
Absolutely. Right.
And so basically,
choice.
Yeah, it's a choice.
Yeah.
It's a horrible choice.
Right.
It's a hard choice. It's a lot of suffering involved.
Yeah.
So for me to get the start line, through that start line journey, I realized, shit, I'm capable. So what happens through this whole process is the change of the mind. It's a change of the guard. Someone once owned my brain. I never owned it.
Yeah.
I had no control of my...
You outsourced it.
Yes, right. Everybody had it. It was my dad's fault. It was the kids that called me nigger fault. My mom wasn't home fault. My soon-to-be stepdad's fault. The little kid that got ran over by the bus fault. My life was, everybody had a piece of my fucking brain.
Yep.
And through this journey of suffering, and the suffering, I put it in because I started finding myself.
Yeah.
And I started, oh no, I'm taking this fucking back from me. This part of my brain is mine now. And I started puzzling back this piece of my brain. And through that, I grew confidence. Mm-hmm. And then when I got to Butts.
Can I ask you, so, how do I even say this? Because I'm trying to think through what that process was like. Were you getting like insights after insights that were like, that allowed you to pull your brain back, pull control back? Or did it just kind of like happen like really, really subtly? I mean, were there like leaps where all of a sudden you just like said, screw it, my dad, I don't know anything and he doesn't have control of me anymore? Or was it emotional, mental? I mean, help me out here. Understand.
It was
like
a lot.
People are like, we're talking about 3 months here.
Yeah.
Of transformation.
So,
and
but think about this.
there's some magic that happens.
We get to the 3 months pretty quick in my story, but the thing about it though, this is years of a conversation.
Got it.
In a very dark. When I mean this dark, I mean very dark, bad dark.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta go dark to get places.
Yeah, I get that.
This is a bad dark, where I had this internal conversation with myself a lot. And I knew I had to make a stand. Because I knew where I was going. I knew where this road led that I was on. Mm-hmm. And it was just, I was afraid. Mm-hmm. I was afraid to make that stand. So this process was going on a long time in my mind. Mm-hmm. I was afraid of this, afraid of that, afraid of this, afraid of that. I knew I had to face this shit, man. But through facing a lot of this stuff, that's what started happening to me. Through facing it, I started getting more and more courage very fast.
One thing at a time.
One thing at a time.
Yeah.
So when I overcame the water, more courage.
Right.
When I overcame the fear of myself, the fear of failure, the fear of being judged, the fear of kind of like, so in this process, I went from David Goggins, I started forming a guy named Goggins. Mm-hmm. I had to really I realized I had to reinvent a whole nother human being within myself, because who I am wasn't going to make it. This guy is not going to cut it. Mm-hmm. So I had to be a guy who can take any kind of pain, any kind of suffering, any kind of torture, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I had to have the people who, I had to visualize everybody that called me nigger. You had to be in a room of people like this. I had to make up these things in my mind, of things I had to overcome. And I started callousing my mind through a process, and it basically started with working out. Mm-hmm. It started with working out. It started with doing, like, if it started raining outside, for instance, my mind would say, fuck that, man, I don't want to go run. Mm-hmm. If it was 3 o'clock in the morning, it started raining outside, my mind said, you got to go run.
Get up and go run.
You have to, because I was fighting this other person.
So you essentially tried to do everything you didn't want to do.
That's all it was. Period. Dot. Everything I didn't want to do is what got me to where I'm at today.
Interesting.
Every single thing. So where we find comfort, that's where I started getting scared. Yeah. When I started saying, oh, it's raining, I'm not going out there. No, you cannot say that. You cannot do that. You have got to do this. Mm-hmm. So whatever my brain thought, I did the opposite. Mm-hmm. Wherever the comfort was, I went the opposite direction. And over a period of time, boy, it calluses the shit out of your mind. Mm-hmm. You start to really develop a whole nother being. Mm-hmm. And I saw this kid who was once scared and afraid start to...
I love this idea of... I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
I was like, I'm so fascinated with this idea of visualizing the biggest challenge and then conquering it in your mind. Mm-hmm. And because that's really... That's super powerful. We call that winning in our mind before you step foot in the battlefield.
That's right.
In our training. And you did this just naturally. Like, you figured it out.
Well, what drove me a lot, and it's kind of funny, growing up, being the kid I was, I found strength in different movies. Yeah. So I come home, in one movie I found a lot of strength, and as funny as it may seem, but I visualized this scene. I do it today during the pull-up record. I did 4,030 pull-ups. Yeah. The last time I did it, I actually got it. It took me 3 times. I played one song for 17 hours pretty much. And it's from this movie, Rocky 1, round 14. Mm-hmm. I related to the person in the movie, but just the one scene when Apollo's beating the shit out of Rocky. He falls in the corner, and everybody and Rocky and Apollo turns around, arms up, happy as shit. I got this guy. He turns around, not knowing that Rocky's trying to get up off the canvas. Right. Mickey's his trainer saying stay down. Right. Everybody's saying you did good. You did good. You went 14 rounds with the champ. Rocky didn't hear shit. He got up, and what sticks in my mind today, and I'm seeing it right now. When he got up, Apollo starts to turn around to see the aftermath of what the fuck he just destroyed. And he did not expect to see what he saw.
Right.
And what I see out of the whole movie, I see Apollo Creed's face.
Yeah, fear crept in.
Yes.
Yep.
And I said to myself as a young kid, I want to be that. Mm-hmm. I don't need to win. I don't need trophies. I don't need people to fucking like me. I just want what he has.
Yeah.
A fictional character, whatever the hell it was, I want that. And I visualized that. Mm-hmm. And I want to become the guy who can get off the canvas and look at somebody who beat the fucking shit out of him. Life.
Yeah.
I'm talking about life right now.
Yeah.
In life, even life itself puts their head down towards David Goggins.
Shit. Yeah.
This motherfucker is not going to stop.
Right.
So that mentality became what I wanted.
Nice.
And that's how it started, with that visualization of the canvas. Mm-hmm. And all I got to do is just keep getting up.
And the training of physically challenging yourself is what opened the doors.
That's what opened the door.
And then that led you to the emotional healing, because you got to expose yourself to extreme discomfort and pain. And,
yes.
Yeah.
And then the pride that comes along with it.
Right.
Is you can't buy it.
Yeah. So what about your buds class, and what was that like? What did you learn there?
So I was in 3 Hell Weeks in 1 year.
Cool. Yeah.
I started off in class 230.
One wasn't enough for you.
I know, right? So I was in a special time. So me being that reservist, it screwed me. So you can only be like gone for like 10 days. Like, so if you weren't in training, you got sent back home.
Really?
Yes.
I thought you had on active duty to go to buds.
You got active duty, but once something happens where you get like medically rolled or something like that. So what happened was, in my first Hell Week, as you know, it starts on Sunday.
Yeah.
I got to a couple of days in the Hell Week, and bam, I had some injuries. Mm-hmm. Got rolled to the very next class. Went home for a little bit, had to start day 1 of the next class, of NDOC. Mm-hmm. Started day 1 of NDOC, went through all that part, got to Hell Week, got through Hell Week the second time around, was getting ready to start up in second phase. Broke my knee.
No shit.
Got sent home. I was gone from 231 to 235. Being in this special program, you start from day 1, buddy. Start from day 1 again.
Well, that's like a year. That's like four classes. Almost a year, like 9 months, isn't it?
So my first Hell Week was in March, and my third Hell Week was the March of the next year.
Holy cow.
So I had.
So at home, you just trained your ass off to
no,
keep
I was
your edge?
actually trying to heal.
I see. Yeah.
So when I came back, I was broken. I actually came back to buds. I was the duct tape man, because I had such bad stress fractures that I would put the black sock on, get duct tape, and I would tape. It was funny. I'm going to show you right now, which is kind of crazy, but I got to do it to you because you're here with me.
Yeah.
This is the remnants of 2001. See that right there?
Yeah.
It's a pressure ulcer. So I would put that little gauze right there. I would duct tape my feet all the way up to the top of my calf. And so when you move that part of your ankle, that starts to develop a nice sore. So over 6 months, that sore got bigger and bigger and bigger on both ankles. So basically, that's how I got through. So my stress fractures, I taped up my ankles. So for the first 30 minutes, the pain was so fucking excruciating. But then guess what happens?
Focusing, yeah.
It goes numb.
Yeah.
But then at nighttime, you're taking that shit off. Yeah. The blood flows back through, and it's real painful. So that's how I got through. And so, it was my last time. They weren't gonna let me go through again. Mm-hmm. So I had to do what I had to do.
Yeah, right.
So that's what I had to do.
Did you learn anything about leadership that is noteworthy at Buds and SEAL training? In terms of because now you're working with a team. It's not just the new David Goggins. How I got to prove to myself that I can be a SEAL. You're working with other teammates. Right. You're relying on them for a lot of support and vice versa. I can imagine that would be kind of an interesting transition for you because you didn't have that growing up.
Right. And I struggled with it in the SEAL teams.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to admit it. One thing that got me, and I dived deep into it. You know, I'll be diving deep into it later on. But one thing that got me real bad was once you realize. So I have this image of the SEALs.
Yeah.
And the image of the SEALs kind of hurt me a little bit. Because I thought everybody had to. So I was training for this standard. Mm-hmm. The standard of every day you got kick ass, man. You got to do 10-mile runs and swim 5 miles. I bled this shit. It became who I was before I got to Buds. Mm-hmm. And then as I went through Buds, and 3 hell weeks, and I got to see a lot of guys. There's some, not a lot. There's a few guys that get through Buds that hang on the coattails of hard dudes.
That's true. 10% rule, I call it.
Hang on, dude, and they get through, and that's it.
They're drafted.
And I got to see that, and it pissed me off. But then again, going back to your leadership question, what hurt me the most was my expectations of myself were so high. Once I got through all this shit I went through as a kid, and I realized a human being can do so much more, and I want to put myself around these uncommon people, and I was like, it wasn't that for me. I wanted everybody to do what I was doing. So I would get an attitude if all the guys weren't getting up doing a 20-mile ruck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If the guys weren't, getting hard every day. Yeah, they got hard, a lot of them, but I had this different standard. So I have poopy pants. I get mad.
Yeah, and I get that. And it might surprise some of the listeners to know that there are guys who kind of throttle back after Buds.
Yeah, yes.
And then when they get into platoon, it's a big problem.
Yes.
Right? But there are then platoons that kind of attract those guys, and they don't perform very well.
Yes, they throttle back.
They fall back.
And that hurt me, though.
Right.
Because as a leader, the one thing I did fucking horribly wrong is I'll never forget, I screened for SEAL Team 6. Mm-hmm. After my first platoon, no one does that. Mm-hmm. I got picked up. Mm-hmm. And
you deploy with them?
With SEAL Team 6? Yeah. No, never did.
Never did.
So I got picked up after my first platoon at SEAL Team 5 for Green Team. Mm-hmm. And after my second platoon, this is when things started going bad for me.
Green Team, if you don't know, listeners, the training program for DevGro SEAL Team 6. Yeah.
So basically, what happened to me, and this is the first time I actually talked about it openly, but who gives a shit? I'm talking about leadership. On my second platoon, I actually started developing an attitude towards people who didn't PT hard, who didn't get after, who worked, because I took it all the way to the limit. And so I should have been a better leader by knowing, okay, not everybody wants to be David Goggins. Yeah. Not everybody wants to go run 100 fucking miles. Not everybody.
Right. Everyone's got different skills.
Everybody got different skill sets. Yeah. And not everybody, maybe they want to go to the gym, whatever. The gym is fine, but it was just a different standard. So I couldn't take away my standard for the whole of the group.
Interesting.
I looked at people like, fuck you, man. You ain't trying to get fucking hard, fuck you. So my mentality, I wasn't a good leader. Mm-hmm. And I look back on that now. Trust me, a lot of people could have done things differently. I'm taking accountability for what I could have done differently.
Right. Good.
I looked at that. So my mentality from a weak kid became super hard, like beyond hard, next level hard. And but that's what I thought I was getting myself into. As a leader, I should have stepped back and realized, hey, these are your expectations, David Goggins.
Right.
What are we here to accomplish?
Right. You're on a mission, right?
What is the mission to accomplish?
You got a mission, you got a team to accomplish it. It's not,
It's not right. So as you know, in the SEAL teams, the community is real small. I came home to get my orders to go to Green Team, never got them.
Interesting.
So I got shitty. Oh, you guys are against me now. Okay, I see what's going on. That's how I ended up going to Delta Force, trying out for them a couple times. Pissed more people off. Mm-hmm. So
you did that as a SEAL because anybody can go screen if you're active military and you got the credentials.
But the thing about it is we have our own.
Yeah.
We have our own SEAL Team 6. Yeah. So for a SEAL that goes, I'm going to go screen for Delta.
Yeah, and they don't like that.
They don't like that.
You're not the only one who's done it, though.
Right.
Yeah, there have been a bunch of team guys who've gone after that.
So you get tagged.
Yeah.
So basically, it's important to lead by example. And when I say lead by example, if you're the leader, it's the loneliest job on the planet. And if you do it, you have to be up early. You have to leave late. You got to do the sucky jobs. At least that's how I look at it. Mm-hmm. You got to be the man that is always the person who's being held accountable to the highest standard, and not expecting your people to do anything that you're not going to do 20 times more than they are, even when you're the leader. Mm-hmm. And it's all about accountability for yourself in leadership roles, not about being pissed because people aren't doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has different skill sets.
Yeah. I had a couple friends, I had a couple friends in the helicopter that went down the QRF for Red Wings.
Yep.
Then I had a few more friends from Team 3 who were in the, I think it was a helicopter also that went down in Afghanistan and was shot down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm forgetting the name of that op.
Operation Red Wings?
Well, Red Wings was
Marcus
Luttrell and Murphy, but then a couple years later there was a
2012, I think you're talking about.
Yeah, a helicopter was shot down with a bunch of DevGru guys.
Yep.
And I had a few friends on that. And
I have a guy's bike from that, JT.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a bunch of Team 3 guys had gone on to DevGru. Lou Langlis, Chuck Mills, all those guys were killed in that. Anyways, for me, and I was a reserve officer at the time.
Right.
And I actually transitioned out in 2011, 2012. But it just really impacted me. The number of team guys who were killed in combat after 2001. And that wasn't, my experience was kind of almost peacetime.
Right.
Except as a reserve officer, I got recalled to go to Iraq. And that's when I got to taste war, but nothing like, the operators who were kicking down doors. It sounds like you had kind of an impact. You were impacted by the loss of some teammates. And what was that experience like? What did you do with that?
It was big for me. So I was in Buds for so long, and went through so many different times in Hell Week and stuff. I was in Bud's class with Danny Dietz.
Yeah, I remember.
Who's on that op? Mm-hmm. I was on with Michael Murphy.
Great guy.
Congressional Congressional Medal of Honor winner. I was around the same time as Marcus Luttrell.
Mm-hmm. Marcus
Luttrell's twin brother. I was there for him to go through.
No shit. Yeah.
I was there for a lot of the guys in the QRF team. A guy named good God, I hate that I forget his name. Anyway, he got the honor man in my Bud's class 230.
Chris Christensen? Or
no that was Bud's class 230. He was in that chopper that went down.
Yeah.
So all these different guys, I knew them all.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at free fall school during the incident with Morgan Luttrell,
mm-hmm.
Marcus Luttrell's twin brother.
Yeah.
And I got the information before Morgan did about the op. Happened
mm-hmm.
the last day of free fall school.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting ready to graduate, and I went to tell Morgan what happened, and Morgan knew his brother wasn't dead. No one else knew if he was dead or alive. But Morgan knew he wasn't.
Just because he was a twin, he could feel it.
Yeah, he could feel it. So 4 days later, I got a call from Morgan saying they found Marcus alive. And I was like, shit, man, that's crazy. So a few months later, it was still haunting me a little bit. And I was like, you know what, I got to find something to do. Mm-hmm. So at this time, I was much bigger. Mm-hmm. I was into bodybuilding, and my cardiovascular activity was the elliptical trainer for 20 minutes every Sunday. Mm-hmm. Was my cardio. So me and this guy named Josh Pickendova got off on this crazy workout routine of volume, lots mm-hmm. of repetitions, mm-hmm. lots of push-ups, lots of sit-ups, lots of leg presses, but no mm-hmm. running. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, heard about it, Googled the 10 hardest races in the world, and what came up was this race called the Badwater 135.
I've heard of it, yeah.
135-mile run through Death Valley, 130 degrees.
It's to the top of Mount Whitney, isn't it? Or something
it's to the portal.
To the portal, okay.
The portal of Mount Whitney. Starts from the lowest part of the Western Hemisphere to the portal of Mount Whitney. And so I found a great foundation, Special Operations Warrior Foundation. Right. I said, I'm going to raise money for these guys. But I didn't know that this race was a one-day race. I thought it was a stage race. I mean,
was it just for completion?
Yeah, that's shit. I mean, 135 miles, you probably get 2 weeks to do this, whatever. So I'd only run 20 miles was my longest run ever. Mm-hmm. And this year, I just got back from Iraq, went to free fall school. I hadn't done any running at all. And so called up Chris Kosman, the race director of Badwater, and he said to qualify for my race, I'll come up on a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. He said so to qualify for my race, you got to run 100 miles in 24 hours or less. And I was like, is that even fucking possible? I was like, this is crazy, man. I don't know about this world. So he said, there's a race. He goes, you got to qualify. He goes, but there's only 2 races left pretty much. It was that race and another race called the Hurt 100 in Hawaii. Mm-hmm. One of the hardest trail races in the world, which I knew nothing about that world at all. So the first race was on Saturday. Come up on Wednesday, Saturday. And it's called the San Diego One Day, where you run around a 1 mile track for 24 hours.
Good God.
To see how many miles you can get.
Yeah.
I was a big time knucklehead, and I don't know if you know Joe Burns or not.
I know Joe well, yeah.
The so it was a Friday before it was 3 days after I called Chris Costman up. Joe Burns in the gym working out. And I was like, you know what, man, I'm going to get hard. Joe put me through all three of my hell weeks. He was the daggone lead instructor. Mm-hmm. So I said, I'm going to go get hard with Joe Burns. He was doing heavy squats, deadlifts, power cleans, just grand animal workout. And I'm going to run 100 miles the very next day, okay? So I go in there unknowing, just team guy shit. I'm going there to just lift some weights. Went there, lifted a hard day. Next morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm out on this track with a blue lawn chair, Mileplex, and Ritz crackers. That's my nutritional plan for 24 hours of running.
Right.
So the first 50 miles were fine. Not too bad.
Yeah. How long did that take you?
You know what? I'm not sure how long it took, but it took me 12 hours to do 70 miles.
Okay.
I do know that.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good clip.
Yeah.
Especially for not a runner.
Yeah.
I was well tapered, obviously. But this next 30 miles is with Hell Week, Ranger School, all this. Nothing will ever. The learning experience I got from mile 70 to mile 101, 'cause that's what I ended up getting, changed my life forever. I thought I had gone through all these different crucibles in my life, and I thought I was at the pinnacle of mental toughness, as they call it, mental toughness, whatever. Mental toughness is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's not a class.
Yeah.
So I was here, and I thought, man, I'm way up here mental toughness wise. My mindset's great. Mile 70, I sat down in this chair, and my nutrition was so bad. My plan was so messed up. I sat down, and I literally had to go to the bathroom so bad. I hadn't gone to the bathroom in 12 hours. And that Ritz cracker was basically a Ritz cracker ball, because without the proper water and stuff. I was just jacked up. So I sat there, and at the time I was married, and I couldn't stand up, and I couldn't go to the bathroom. I basically sat there and took a shit on myself, started peeing blood. And my ex-wife used to be, I don't know if she's or not, I don't know what she's doing now, but she was a nurse. And I was in bad shape. But I hadn't really gone to the bathroom that bad yet. Not like I did afterwards, but I was pretty bad.
It's TMI, right?
Yeah, I was pretty bad. But the thing was, I couldn't get up. My mind was all messed up. But one thing I realized that kills most people in any kind of training in life, this life period, is we get so anxious. Mm-hmm. And in that 1 or 2 or 3 seconds,
you seize up.
I call it the 1 second decision. Yeah. You seize up, but you flood the compartment, which is your brain, of all this shit. The what ifs. Oh my God, you spaz out, and then you quit, and then once you quit, you regret it. Happens all the time in Hell Week.
Yeah.
130 hours. You get in the first hour, they freeze your ass off, and you can't comprehend 130 hours of this shit. You're freezing. You're not going to go home that night. You're not going to Island Pasta to get the pasta meal that night. Your ass is mine, and you can't handle it. So I started just learning these processes of calming my brain down. I'm in the worst shape of my entire life. I've gone 70 miles. I've never gone past 20 miles. I'm horrible. It's a great rewarding feeling, but it's also a feeling of the worst pain I've had in my life. My feet are broken. I'm messed up bad, and I had to take this big pile of shit and slowly start to compartmentalize what was in front of me. And the first thing was, you can't stand up. Your blood pressure's messed up, so you can't go another 30 miles unless you be able to stand up. Fix that. Got around those issues. I was able to stand up, got on the track again, and I was barely making it on the track. And then this is what changed my life to this day. I can't really imagine anything ever topping it. At mile 81, my ex-wife looked at me and she said, "You're not going to, we're not going to make this time," because I was going like a 30-some minute miles, barely getting around the track. The shape I was in at mile 70 was the worst shape of my life. I can't say it enough. I ended up running I ran 101 miles. I ran the next 20 miles. Didn't walk another step. And I did it in like 18 hours and 56 minutes. And what I believe happened to me is when my mind, body, spirit, everything, for the first time, and there's never happened again since that time, everything really connected. When my mind knew he's not going to quit this race.
You have to do this.
Yes.
Isn't, non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. I gave myself no way out. My mind said, we have to find more.
Do you think, we talk a lot about spiritual strength as a reserve, as a, like tapping into life force, energy that can flow into you to support your efforts. So you've gone beyond just gutting it out, gone beyond what your physical body could possibly do. So
I went way beyond
did you
that.
feel that energy was that sort of energy?
And I try not to go there a lot with it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was. It was something that I can't even. My mind knew we had to find this guy's not going to stop.
Right.
And it wasn't like I willed myself to the finish line.
Right.
I ran 20 miles when I couldn't walk a quarter mile hardly.
Right.
But I ran
Isn't that
20.
crazy? Yeah.
And I can't. People, what? Yeah, that's what happened.
There's no explanation.
That's
for
what
it.
happened.
Right. It just happened.
And it was.
It's kind of like saying, well, how did that woman pick up the car off
Exactly.
her son? You know, she just lifted a frickin'
She's lifted it up.
4,000. How did that happen?
And that's
There's
when
no
I realized
explanation
the human mind is the most amazing thing
Yeah.
ever.
That's insane. I love that. So what are you doing now? Are you doing a lot of speaking, and are you still running these adventure events and trying to break world records now, or what's going on now?
I'm still
What's
training.
your big vision right now for your future?
Well, right now, I had a horrible health issues for the last 5 years, and so worked on that for a while, and
You think it's related to the extreme training that you did?
it's related to. I won't go too deep into it, but a lot of it has to do with just the body being tight,
Yeah.
wound too tight,
Need yoga, man.
and yoga helps out. Different things help out. So I actually developed some program that I've been doing for a long time that helped me out.
Yeah.
And basically now what I do now is I'm actually going to hopefully be a smoke jumper.
Right on. Yeah.
So get back out there again. I took some time off to get my health back up, get back out there again. I still run the crazy races. I still train crazy. I still believe in embracing the suck. I still believe in do things that make you not comfortable.
Now you do it to inspire others, it seems.
I do to inspire others, but it's also still important for me to realize that you haven't arrived.
Right. There's no there.
You haven't, like a lot of people who get that, some people, not a lot, who get that trident.
Yeah.
I've made it.
No, I'm with you on that.
I
There's
know.
there. And I feel like I'm just getting warmed up,
Yep.
in my own way. But
And that was my issue. And no, I haven't arrived.
Right.
I haven't arrived. I have a big resume that I'm very proud of, but I haven't arrived at all.
you know what I love? We use a quote from the smoke jumpers. Do today what others won't.
Yep.
Do tomorrow what others can't.
Millers can't. That's right.
That's killer.
Yep.
I if I could do something right now, I don't have time for it because of my shit, but I would go be a smoke jumper.
Oh, there is.
I think fire service is just awesome.
It is.
It reminds me, if you wanted to be a pararescue, then
it's the same difference.
it's the same thing.
Yeah.
SEALs go take lives. SEALs are awesome, but pararescue and smoke jumpers and paramedics, firefighters, they're first responders to save lives.
That's right.
That's such an honorable profession.
Yep.
All right, David, you've been one of our most requested guests for the Unbeatable Mind podcast, and so Allison had them submit some questions, and I got a bunch of questions. You cool with that? If we do a little Q&A here?
Let's do it,
yeah,
man.
So these are from our Unbeatable Mind podcast listeners, and some of these are pretty damn good, I got to admit. First one, what is your why?
My why.
What is your why? Why do you do this shit? Why do you do what you do?
My why changes a lot.
Does it?
It changes a lot, but right now my why right now is to not lose what I have, to not lose what I developed, to not lose what it took me a lifetime to get where I'm at today. And my why is I always want to improve myself to improve other people.
Right.
For a long time there, this journey was lonely, and as I got to the top of it, I realize now, looking back, how many people are struggling, just like me. Not everybody had. I didn't have any tools either. I didn't have the tools, but I figured a lot of tools out along the way, and now it's always a good job to go back and give a toolbox to people that can help them out.
Yeah, nice.
So,
I like that. And what was, you've been through some of the most demanding military training, SEALs, Ranger, TAC-P, Delta. What was the most important lesson that you learned from the military? This is the second question.
the most important lesson learned from the military. I would have to say it's kind of it's teamwork is very important, but there's something much more than that.
Yeah.
If you are not a good individual, team is everything.
Mm-hmm.
But in that team, let's say a boat crew of 6 people, you have to be a very strong individual, and don't always look to be led.
Right.
And when times are fucking disgustingly hard, that's when that's what I learned. I learned it's those times when even the hardest motherfuckers in the world are looking around for guidance. It's that one motherfucker. Be that one motherfucker.
Be that guy.
Be that one motherfucker when even you're saying to yourself, boy, this fucking sucks. I don't want to fucking be here right now. And you're looking at all the guys' eyes around you, and you've seen it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The eyes just go down like, fuck, man, we ain't getting the fuck out of here. This is brutal. Be that guy who finds the fucking courage to say, you know what, man?
Let's do this.
Let's do this. So that's the one big thing I learned. Be that one out of the warriors. Be the one motherfucker that says, fuck it.
Yeah, the one guy who brings the other 100 home.
The 100 hard motherfuckers. Be the hardest of them all.
Yeah,
that's what I realized.
Very cool. Jesse Itzler wrote a book, Living with a SEAL. Turns out that was you.
Yes.
He says he learned some things from you. What did you learn from him?
I get that question a lot about what I learned from Jesse Itzler. What I learned from Jesse Itzler, and I hope that people don't take this the wrong way, but I'm a pretty straightforward guy about myself and everybody else that's involved. It's fucking real hard to get uncivilized when you're civilized. Once you've gone to that place where you have everything a man can want, trying to go back into the fucking gutter, because the gutter is where you fucking get hard. You don't get fucking hard outside the fucking gutter, you get hard in the sewer. So taking a person, and that's what I realized to myself, I cannot, my life is good right now, but I can't let it be too good, ever. Yeah. I have to remind myself that these calluses on my hands come from hard work. And the second your hands get soft, everything else gets soft with it.
Stand by.
Stand by. It's coming. So what I learned is like you can have too much. You can't have too much, and your mind goes with it. Your mind goes with it.
Yeah, the warrior travels light and
That's
is
right.
simple, right, and does the work every day.
That's right, every day.
That's really interesting. There is a huge kind of movement toward weekend warriors, and we have a ton of people coming to SEALFIT events, and even with our 50-hour Kokoro camp, only 30% of the guys are making it through.
Right.
And I think you just identified that's why, because it may be inspiring, but man, it's work. You got to do the work. Everybody's
looking for the 6-minute ab routine.
Right.
Everybody wants to see, you know what? Can I run 100 miles tomorrow? Can I achieve this tomorrow? Can I achieve that in 2 days? How about this? Let's compromise. I want to lose weight, but I need to keep my cappuccino. It's not how the fucking shit works, man. It's not how it works. Yeah, a lot of people lose weight those ways. It's not a fix.
They don't lose it for very long.
Yeah.
So what's your daily routine look like right now?
Pretty easy. This is every day of my life. I wake up, I eat a little something small, a little protein, something, go off my run. Come back, go right to the gym. After the gym, I start my daily routine of...
Let's talk about the run in the gym real quick. Okay. What's the run like?
The run is minimum 8 miles.
Okay.
A maximum of 30 miles.
Nice.
So basically...
And you got to plan, it's not just random. You don't just go like, I think I'll do 8 today.
Right. It'll vary.
Got it.
And then I'll come back, I will do my gym workout, which is an upper body, lower body routine usually. I won't go too deep into it, but I believe in calisthenics and also weight training.
Yeah.
I believe in being the most dangerous person on the planet.
Yeah.
A person that can run 100 miles.
Multifaceted.
That's right.
Yeah,
can you run 100 miles? Can you deadlift 550? Can you do 50 push or pull-ups dead hang? Can you do 100 push-ups? So I believe in being the best at all these different categories. Like people say it's impossible to do that stuff. It's not. It takes a lot more work.
Right. Okay, so then after your gym workout, what's next?
After the gym workout, I do work as far as like whatever the work is for the day, and that varies. A lot of times now it's studying for different classes, trying to get the whole mental thing on always. And then at nighttime, every single night, I stretch out for at least 2 hours.
2 hours?
At least 2 hours a night. This has been happening for 5 years. I've missed 2 nights in 5 years.
Do you do anything while you're doing your stretching? Listen to a podcast, watch TV, read a book?
I don't do that. I do a lot of thinking.
A lot of thinking, breathing, thinking. Do you have a journal with you when you do it?
I've journaled my life for since 2005.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah. I like that. It's a
Yep.
good routine.
Yep.
Now, that's a single person's routine. How's it going to change when you're married?
I'm pretty much married now.
Okay.
Beautiful fiance over there looking at me. Just like
Waiting for this answer.
Right. I've kept the same routine. So I had to find someone that was, because one thing I don't want to ever do in my life is I believe in the whole compromise thing. You got all this relationship stuff, whatever. But I also believe in, I really like
not compromising your values.
I like who I am.
Yeah.
I like who I am, and I'm not going to compromise that for anybody, ever. I've worked too fucking hard to finally get somewhere. So I can look in the mirror and I'd be like, "Fuck, man, I'm not proud of this." So,
what's your nutrition plan?
It varies with my mileage. So if I'm running 100 miles a week, that carbohydrate intake with the good fats rises high. Right now, my mileage starting to go back up, but my protein intake is very important because I believe in having the good muscle so I'm really big into protein right now. So my protein is real high, and it varies as I do things. I'm a big calorie counter. So let's say I go out and run 10 miles. I know 10 miles on flat ground, I'll burn about 1,180 calories on flat ground at a 7:15 pace.
Do you use any app or like Fitbit type tools?
I have a Garmin, but I use different kind of apps, whatever. So I have a Garmin, but I've now been training like this for years.
So it just comes
So I have my own
naturally.
little science. And so all this diet stuff, it comes with knowing yourself.
Right.
Knowing how your body metabolizes with different stuff, what stuff works good in your gut, your GI system. And so for me, I take in the calories that I lost. First thing I do over two meals once I get back. And then I start the protein back up again. So I try to get the carbs
So
back
you
in
don't
me.
care, like just healthy carbs though, right?
Healthy carbs.
I mean, you're not eating junk just to get those calories.
Try to get the carbs back in me, and then I'm back on protein again.
Have you experimented at all with ketogenesis?
I have done a lot of research on it for how I travel.
It's tough.
It's too tough to stick to that right now.
Yeah, got it.
So I have my own little Goggins old diet. I have a Goggins old diet.
There you go. Yeah.
So yeah, it works good.
Awesome. One last question. So you inspire a ton of people. Who are you inspired by?
It's funny, man, and people may hear this and say, "Man, you are a cocky ass dude." Take it the right way. Your heroes will let you down.
Interesting.
Your heroes will let you down. One person that you can switch and change is yourself. Holding yourself accountable. You be your own fucking hero. And what that means is look at yourself in the fucking mirror, and you're not going to be Tiger Woods. You're not going to be whoever the fuck else you want to be. Whoever your hero is, they're going to let you down. Trust me. They will. We're human beings.
Yeah.
And you cannot be them. You're not them. You got to find your best self. And in doing that, stop reading books about other people. Stop doing this about other people. Spend time with yourself.
Yeah.
Spend time with yourself. Create your own super being.
Yeah.
Create your own Rocky. Create your own Rambo. Create your own superhero. And what that means is I'm my own role model.
Yeah.
Because when I'm fucked up, I look in the mirror and say, "You're fucked up. And we got to fix this now." I can't call up somebody and say, "Hey, man, you really let me down." So that's how I believe. I believe in being your own hero and also writing your own book.
Yeah.
Write your own book. And my big thing is if you're not changing your life, you're not doing shit with your life. And if you were on your deathbed, and let's say you sat down and no one knew who Mark Divine was. No one knew you from Adam. But you've been writing a book in this journal right here for the last, let's say you die at 90 years old. And you're in a hospital and a kid comes in to see Mark Divine. You don't know the kid doesn't know you. Just came in to see you. And you gave the kid a fucking book about your life. Would that book change his fucking life for the better? If you can't say that shit, you need to start fucking rewriting another fucking book.
Yeah.
And people change off of hard work, dedication, sacrifice, and suffering. That's where that change comes from.
Right.
So that's...
Who you out of that? Be your own hero. I love that. I agree with you 100%.
Be your own hero.
Yeah, become your own storyteller, write your own script.
That's it.
And just, there is no last chapter.
No, never. Never.
Until you're on the deathbed.
That's right. That's right. And you're still trying to fucking write and fight.
Exactly.
Fuck that. I got it.
I got one more.
I got one more chapter, man.
Awesome, David.
Yeah. Well,
thanks so much,
friend.
Thank you
so much.
Yeah, you rock. Really
you.
appreciate your time. And,
appreciate it.
We'll come back and do this again. I know you're writing a book, and
thank you.
We'll get that out there, and people need to read that. Read your story.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, this is Mark Devine. Thanks very much for watching the Unbeatable Mind podcast on YouTube. You can also find the podcast at iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, and unbeatablemind.com/podcast. Be sure to check out the new episode released every week. Hoo-yah.